picture this. Your neighbor buys you a dog and you wake up one morning to find holes in your yard and your flower bed all torn up. So you investigate. You find out there's a hole in your fence and the dog is to blame. You repair the fence so that the dog cannot get through, and now there's no more holes and your flowers are just fine. Problem solved. Now imagine the dog is a drug smuggler and the fence is the U.S.-Mexican border. The logic used with the dog and the neighbor's fence is the same logic that can be and should be used to combat the ever-growing problem of border security. Now, I know what you might be thinking. We know, the border is bad. We've heard this before. But let me just throw some numbers at you. According to USBorderPatrol.com, 4 million people illegally enter the United States via Mexico each year. 4 million. According to Customs and Border Patrol, in 2009, 4.4 million pounds of drugs were seized while trying to get into the U.S. via Mexico. According to the Washington Post, the Mexican cartels alone move 1 kilo of cocaine across the border every 10 minutes. According to the Washington Post again, 20 billion a year in drug cash flows back to New Mexico each year. Human trafficking is a $15 to $20 billion endeavor, second only to drug trafficking. And lastly, according to an article by BBC, the number of people killed in Mexican drug-related violence since 2006 is more than 60,000. So, as you can clearly see, our inadequate border is allowing crime to run rampant. But let's take things one step further. What are all those 4 million people doing once they get into America? You guessed it, they are taking American jobs. Jobs that rightfully belong to tax-paying citizens. In fact, in March of 2010, the number of unauthorized immigrants in the nation's workforce totaled 8 million. You might be wondering, what is the government doing to combat this? That's a good question. Currently, there are over 20,000 Border Patrol agents, 90% of which patrol the Mexican border. Now, these 20,000 Border Patrol agents use 268 aircraft and 289 marine vessels to watch our borders. So you might be saying to yourself, well, with all these assets in place, how does all this bad stuff still happen? The answer, to me, is simple. Our physical border. The plywood, the cement, the razor wire, and the fencing, in my opinion, is not cutting it. But let's take a closer look. Currently, the U.S.-Mexican border is roughly 2,000 miles long and traverses through some of the most desolate landscape in the United States. Many sections of the fence are not tall enough, wide enough, or strong enough to keep people out. For example, in Imperial Beach, California, the beach that borders Mexico, exists part of the border that is simply vertical rods sticking out of the ground. Look at that. And here, we can see that some sections of the fence are so bad that people can literally climb right over it. Arguably, however, the worst parts of the border are those where people can set up temporary ramps so SUVs can easily make their way back and forth across the border. This is actually a failed attempt reported back in November 2012. So this requires to ask ourselves, how do we fix this? How do we come up with the time, money, and energy to strengthen our physical border with Mexico? Well, something tells me that if we run home and smash our piggy banks, we're likely to come up a little short. So, to quote current President Barack Obama, change happens when the American people demand it. And I feel that is exactly what we must do. We have to raise awareness and convince others that this is a serious, unacceptable issue that needs to be addressed. Secondly, we need to constantly tell federal, state, and community leaders that we want and demand a stronger border with Mexico. Additionally, however, we must convince others to do the same. In conclusion, I'm convinced, and hopefully now you are too, that we need a change. We need a change that includes a complete overhaul of our current physical border with Mexico. Clearly, strengthening our border with Mexico is the first and most critical step of combating the horrendous crimes mentioned earlier. And now, as we eagerly spread the word far and wide, we can with the help of community, county, and state federal finances, undoubtedly, we can effectively combat the major crimes that take place along our border each and every day. Thank you.